Stalker 2 is probably one of the most anticipated games in 2024. It certainly is the game with the most chaotic and also tragic development history I have ever witnessed. If, by the off chance, you haven't heard of this game or the previous trilogy before, Stalker 2 is an upcoming, soon to be released first-person shooter survival horror game. This game was first announced in 2010, yes, 14 years ago, but just 1 year later in 2011, GSC Game World, the Ukrainian developer, closed their studio, only to re-establish and reopen the doors of the studio in 2014. In 2018, Stalker 2 was announced to be officially in development with Unreal Engine 4. In 2021, the first trailer dropped, and it has been communicated that Stalker 2 is now being developed with Unreal Engine 5. In February 2022, the development process and more importantly, the lives of the Ukrainian development team are being threatened by Russia invading the country. Right next to their studio, there were explosions. The war arrived at their doorstep. As a result, the studio partly moved to Prague and now continued working on the project from 2 locations. It was hard for them to continue writing violent quests while an actual war was and is still going on in their country. Due to all of this, the game has been delayed to 2023. However, after the Gamescom trailer and demo, the game now has a release window of Q1 2024. And as if all this wasn't enough, their studio suffered an office fire in September 2023. Fortunately, no one was hurt. This is a very turbulent and tragic development process, and it's clear that as the team had to go through all of this project has gotten personal for them. Now, in order for us to take a look at Stalker 2, I'm going to try to effectively explain what the Stalker games are essentially about and what makes them so unique, because I believe this to be important when it comes to taking a look at Stalker 2. Stalker takes place in a semi-open world called the Zone, a desolate and, as you might have guessed, dangerous area around a post-disaster, post-apocalyptic setting, which basically is the aftermath of a fictitious second Chornobyl disaster that even further contaminated the area with radiation and caused strange, otherworldly changes. More on that later. In case you don't know, the word Stalker is an acronym that stands for scavengers, trespassers, adventurers, loners, killers, explorers, and robbers. These terms effectively represent the various types of people who explore the zone, each with their own goals, from scavenging for artifacts, gathering resources, to other, more nefarious objectives. As you can see, this acronym encapsulates the dangerous and multifaceted nature of those who dare enter this highly contaminated and anomalous area. Now, Stalker games are hard, very hard at times, and unforgiving. They do not hold your hand and absolutely expect you to take every threat seriously. In the previous Stalker games, you basically take on the role of an amnesiac stalker, an explorer hunting for artifacts and mysteries within this hostile and mutated area. The story is about uncovering the stalker's own forgotten past, dealing with various factions and creatures, and ultimately discovering the secrets behind the zone and its strange, anomalous powers. The Chornobyl disaster's aftermath is central to the plot. Now, if you're playing a Stalker game, you shouldn't expect a lush, item-rich world, like in, for example, Skyrim or Fallout. Here, you will find mostly desolation, broken roads, debris, and a harsh landscape, with actually few items to collect. While the map was pretty large, it was split into sections with loading screens, not one continuous open world. This changes in Stalker 2, as it will be a seamless open world this time, taking full advantage of Unreal Engine 5 and all other advanced technologies that we'll take a look at later. Back to the Stalker trilogy. Thanks to the second Chornobyl disaster, you'll encounter mutants, zombified stalkers, and other human enemies with different agendas. But the real danger lies in anomalies. Anomalies are hazardous and often lethal environmental phenomena created by the high levels of radiation and unknown energies in the zone. They can and will kill or injure the player, and are often invisible until you're close. Anomalies sometimes produce artifacts, which are valuable items formed by the intense energies of the zone. These artifacts offer various benefits and are highly valuable items, which naturally means people will go after them. This game's mood and atmosphere is its standout feature. and truly one of a kind. It's eerie and unsettling, with great sound design that draw you into this tense world that, despite its dark setting and unforgiving nature, still manages to somehow create a homely and, for some, nostalgic feeling. It dares to be grim and awful in its tone and themes. It's never truly safe and comforting, but in a way that makes you still feel like you're in control. The atmosphere allows for moments of beauty or moments of absolute fear. As I hinted at earlier, even the smallest mutants are a danger, and the biggest mutants will absolutely make you shit your pants. The Stalker games have compelling world building and lore that make you interested to find out more, not through cutscenes with massive exposition, but simple environmental storytelling. They also have a great feeling of progression and pacing, while simultaneously allowing you freedom to take the game at your own pace. There are also certain survival aspects. For example, you'll manage hunger, radiation, and weapon maintenance, all while keeping an eye on your stamina and carrying capacity. For instance, overloading yourself slows you down, which can be especially frustrating given the distances you'll travel, because there is no fast travel. I think we are now ready to talk about Stalker 2, as this should be enough to give you a general idea on why the Stalker games are such a beloved game series that still, after all this time, has strong community and mod support, and why Stalker 2 is such a highly anticipated release to begin with. Taking a look at Stalker 2, it is clear to me that this game has a very clear vision on what it wants to be, and it knows what the target audience loved in the previous games, and what they have been craving ever since the first announcement in 2010. Stalker 2 gives off every impression that it will be, more or less, just like the trilogy, but much bigger and better, with more things to do, more locations, and more characters. We are once again taking over a role of a lone stalker, and this time we are exploring a close to photorealistic, and this is important, seamless open world that is said to be 64 square kilometers in size. This is actually one of the largest game worlds created yet. The story here will be non-linear, and the variety of different paths lead to one of the several endings. While it's almost guaranteed that the game will stay true to its trusted formula, it may very well blow us away in terms of technical advancement. The developers didn't shy away from implementing every single piece of cutting-edge technology, like photogrammetry, all the features from Unreal Engine 5, and full body and facial motion capture. This may be one of the most beautiful and authentic open worlds ever created, especially since they mentioned that all the footage from the trailers is actual in-game footage. When it comes to weapons and gunplay, it has been confirmed that there will be at least 30 different weapons that, along with various different adjustments that can be made, will lead to more than 100 different lethal options for us to choose from. It is also worth mentioning that Stalker 2 features the so-called A-Life 2.0 simulation system. This is responsible for an authentic and believable AI behavior that apparently goes beyond just the player's field of view. In a game this immersive, voice acting needs to be on par with the rest, of course. From the looks of it, it absolutely does deliver. Now, the voice acting from the original trailer was still Russian, which was excellent and authentic voice acting. But the Russian language has been removed from the game due to the war in Ukraine, and the game will now feature Ukrainian and English voice acting, which I suppose and hope will be of similar quality. There are a few things I don't want to see in Stalker 2. Fast travel, at least not the simplified version, where you're just pressing one key on your keyboard and you're instantly in an entirely different location. If fast travel has to be a thing due to the map size, I expect a more sophisticated approach. X-ray vision would be a no-go as well, along with any other things that would simply make the game too streamlined. Basically, anything too handholdy is likely not going to be perceived too well by all the fans of the original. But from what we have seen so far, it looks like the developers have a good understanding on what they have to deliver with this project. Personally, I am excited for this title. It doesn't have to be perfect to deliver a compelling and authentic gaming experience, but it needs to nail all the aspects the core audience desires. Given the turbulent development cycle, skepticism is justified, but at the very same time, the passion and talent is at the very least there. Guys, if this video was helpful, a like is very much appreciated. It really does help my video's performance. See ya.